Hello and welcome. What is up everybody, UltraSonicHero. So, most of you may have heard that Nintendo has just showcased a full presentation of the new Nintendo Switch 2, which did surprisingly well compared to the specs. But there was one big problem, and I mean a gigantic big problem that's enough to inflate somebody else's ego. And that's the fact that they did not show the console price during the full presentation, because in the previous presentation when they showcased the original Switch, they showed the price. And originally it was $299.99, which I believe in pounds was 280 quid, but that's my guess. When Mark and myself did a bit of research on the internet and on the web, I noticed that the Nintendo Switch 2 games, even the new ones that are coming out, are too pricey. And what do I mean by that? It is expensive! So in today's video we're gonna do a lot more research on the specs of the Nintendo Switch 2. Look up on the official website on Nintendo, especially the games and the accessories. Now, I want to see what the prices are, and I want to give out my own opinions. Now, I'm going to try my best to keep this as civil as I can, but there's one thing that I do want to guarantee, and that's the fact that the pre-orders have just started on the 8th of April of this month. But I've decided not to pre-order it because I'd rather wait, and I do not want to get scammed by anyone who would dare to post me something that is rather highly suspicious. So, scammers, eat this. I was gonna flip the bird, but nah, that would be inappropriate. I was gonna flip the birdie, but no, I ain't gonna. I also want to note something that for those who's been keeping up to date on the news about the Nintendo Switch 2, which is fine, they have their own right to critique about Nintendo, especially with the prices and all. I use that gesture for a good reason, but you know where I'm coming at. And I agree with you, you have every right to be very annoyed that the fact that the games are expensive. That is no problem. So, let's go ahead and do a little bit of research, shall we? Okay, first up, we're going to look at the game of Mario Kart World. Now, surprisingly, the gameplay, as well as the mechanics and the environment that you get to explore everything like an open world, it looks pretty good. But the price, as you can see down below, 74 quid and 99 pence, or somewhere near 75 pence. And I know what you're thinking. The game, to be that amount of money, is too pricey. Too expensive, and I agree. I think Nintendo should have lowered the price somewhere below 60 quid. Or somewhere near 55 quid, I don't know, but that's just my opinion. I say honest opinion, but yeah, it is honest. I get why Nintendo's trying to raise the budget for their new console, especially the games that are coming this year, and some that are coming out next year. For Mario Kart World to be 74 quid 99, that's too pricey in my opinion. And you'd be right. It is too pricey. I mean, I can tell why a lot of Nintendo fans are really upset or pissed off in the live chat when I was watching a stream. And they were saying in full caps, drop the price over and over again, like repetitive broken records. I mean, I can see why everybody's upset about the prices, I get it, but please, just calm yourself down. I'm sure, well, I don't know for sure, but if Nintendo was to listen to their criticism about the prices being far too pricey or expensive, I get your point. I'm pretty sure Nintendo will take that into consideration, but if they don't, then it is what it is. But respectfully, I know that Nintendo are well aware of this. I can tell, but I don't work for Nintendo or in the UK. I don't work for them. This is just my own criticism and my own feedback. Next up, we've got the Donkey Kong Bonanza. 66 quid to 99 pence. I will say, in my opinion, and I said it before, I'll say it one more time. The prices, you know, considering that they're new Nintendo Switch 2 games, which is relatable, but if you're gonna sell a game, and if it's a new game for Nintendo Switch 2, keep the prices somewhere below 65 to 55 quid. If it's like a long, popular game, if a game's long in terms of execution development, and if it's gonna receive great feedback, for example, like Sonic Frontiers, The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, or Xenoblade Chronicles. Those games are pretty popular. And I love these games. They're pretty good. And then the next game, there's Super Mario Jamboree. I think I mispronounced it, so my apologies. This is 66 quid, 99 pence, same price. Especially for the Nintendo Switch 2 editions for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. The one thing I do want to ask is, if I was to transfer my data, you know, my original Nintendo Switch to another console, the Nintendo Switch 2, will the prices be lower? If I was to get like better visuals, performance, contrast, or the quality, will the prices be cheaper, somewhere about 20 quid? Or is it going to stay as it is, as the same price? That's my concern, because I already own those 2 games for the Switch. If it's going to be expensive, then guess what?
I ain't giving you my money, Nintendo.
If Nintendo's not willing to maybe listen to our criticism or feedback, you know, comparing the prices from the original Switch games into the new ones, I'm sure Nintendo could drop the prices. If they do, that's fine. But if not, then I guess we'll have to take it on the chin. That's all I can say. Nothing personal against the company or anyone. Okay, this is just my feedback, okay? With all due respect. This is just constructive feedback. And then we got one more game I'm going to show you on the window. Down here we have Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. Again, with better visuals, performance, quality, and the contrast. Even when you have HDR support. It's good that Nintendo is actually porting some of the previous Switch games to another port, but with better visuals. That's good. But if it's going to be the same price compared to the website, even though if you transfer the data to your Nintendo Switch to Nintendo Switch 2, if it's going to be the same price, that's a low blow. That is just a low blow. But I'm not saying that Nintendo's going to do the same price, because I can't be entirely sure if they're going to drop the prices or not, but if they do, that is fine. At least it'll make the fans somewhat happy. Alright, next up I'm going to show you the accessories for the Nintendo Switch 2. So let me just go ahead and click on the window. Alright, next up we have the Joy-Con 2 charging grip. 30 quid. I'm trying to remember how much the grip cost. Well, for the Switch 1. Nintendo Switch 1, if that does make sense. I can't remember if the original Switch, you know, the Joy-Con grip, I mean, I think it came with the box with the Nintendo Switch and the Joy-Cons. If you were getting the Joy-Con grip on its own, would that be worth... I'm trying to think how much that would have been worth. Was it 20 quid? Then again, maybe I'm wrong. I honestly don't know, but all that I know is that the accessories should have reasonable prices, you know, for the Switch 2. We have the SanDisk micro SD. Now they need to be compatible for the Switch 2. As stated on the live stream earlier, you know, on Nintendo Direct, if you were using an SD card from your original Switch, it would not be compatible for the Nintendo Switch 2. I'll give them props for that. Nintendo did state that the SD card from the Switch 1 was not compatible for the Switch 2, so I'm glad that they clarified that. So good job to them. And next up we have the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller. Now, I didn't buy those. I only just bought the controllers with the wires, so that way in case if my wires were no longer working, I would just buy another one. I mean, I can see why. I mean, getting a Pro controller would be nice, but I'm just gonna save my money. Then we have the Nintendo GameCube controller, the Nintendo Classics, worth 58 quid 99 pence. For a Nintendo GameCube controller for the Nintendo Switch 2 to be a little bit pricey, I would have dropped it to maybe somewhere about 50 quid. And the next device I'm going to show you is the Nintendo Switch 2 camera. 50 quid. For those who've been keeping up to date on my content, and for those that did watch my last unboxing video for the PlayStation 5 camera, that was pretty good. I did say I would recommend it, even though it's a little bit pricey, but it was only about somewhere in between 40 quid. I think. And again, the Nintendo Switch 2 camera for being 50 quid, I don't think that's a problem. It's fine. It's fine the way it is. Unless, of course, it was high quality. If you can actually stream yourself in a game chat, kind of like Discord. Now, it has that similarity to Discord. And again, they did show that in one of the little Joy-Con controllers, they had the C button where you can go straight to the game chat and then chat with your friends online. It does have that similarity to Discord. I'm not saying that it's Discord, by the way. In my opinion, I don't think I'll ever use game chat. I prefer doing it on Discord because it's a better way for me to engage with my friends, my folks. You know, for more engagement and just have fun. You know, whichever games that you're playing. I like the idea and I like the concept, but for me, I'm not with it. We got the Nintendo Switch 2 all-in-one carrying case. Where do you want to take your Switch 2, your accessories? Maybe lower that down to 60 quid. I see what Nintendo's trying to do, especially trying to earn money and making green. I get that. I totally get it. And then the Joy-Con 2 wheel set of 2 in blue and orange. It kind of looks like orange. There's the micro SD express card of 256 gigabytes worth 50 quid for the Nintendo Switch 2. That's fine. Next up, we got the Piranha Plant camera for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, the price is different compared to the camera, which was 50 quid. So about 16 quid less. But like I said, it's not just based on the specs, but it's based on the quality from each and every product. Whether it's for like better frame rate, resolution, or like, you know how you want to improve your visuals on a webcam. I'm using the Facecam Pro for Elgato. And this thing runs at 4K 60 frames, which is impressive. And I'm glad that I got this camera, because if I hadn't, the quality wouldn't have been much better. So I'm very satisfied with my purchase. The Piranha Plant camera for the Nintendo Switch 2 and the other camera, maybe I don't want to get that. I just prefer better quality. I'm not saying that Nintendo doesn't showcase better quality. I'm not saying that they don't. Because what Nintendo's been showcasing for the Nintendo Switch 2 and the games was pretty impressive. Alright, next up we have the Nintendo Switch 2 carrying case and screen protector. Yeah, that's reasonable. That's a reasonable price. I'd buy that. And then the Joy-Con 2 Allen Wright, the controller set, that's worth 65 quid. I honestly can't remember how much, you know, the original Joy-Cons that I had for the first Switch. I don't know how much they were. They'll correct me in the comment section below, because I don't know these. I don't know about pricing, but some of the products, I mean, it's all based on the quality. So after looking at the website on the accessories and the Switch 2, along with the games, I mean, some of them are good, but again, Nintendo could have dropped the prices for some of the games or some of the products on the official Nintendo website. It would be reasonable if they did that, but it all depends on the feedback, and it all depends if they're willing to listen to the Nintendo fans or the critics. But again, I don't work for Nintendo, I'm just a viewer, I'm just here critiquing my own opinions and what I feel in a more expressive way. So now that I reviewed the website, I'm going to go ahead and recap on the official video on Nintendo of America, where they overview the Nintendo Switch 2.
The Nintendo Switch 2 system can adapt to suit your situation, however you like to play. In TV mode, use the dock to play on a bigger screen.
Yeah, I will state something clear. The moment when they announced the Switch 2 to showcase its specs and everything, pretty good. When you're docking your console on the dock itself into a TV, you get better quality, which I'll explain more about that later on. So let's get back to the video.
In tabletop mode, place your system however you like using the stand, and share a controller with a friend. In handheld mode, play anywhere you go. With these 3 play modes, you can enjoy playing whenever and wherever you want. All together, anytime, anywhere.
Okay, yeah, that is right. You can take your console out anywhere if you're on a holiday, say like if you're on a plane, train, taxi, car, bus, anywhere with your family or relatives. That's good. The same way that they did for the original Switch, where you can connect online anywhere, anytime, any place. That's something that they did do, and I'm proud of Nintendo for that. Right, continuing.
Let's take a look at some features of Nintendo Switch 2 and how it's improved from the Nintendo Switch system. At 7.9 inches, Switch 2 has a bigger built-in screen. Here's how that compares to Nintendo Switch. The system's thickness remains the same.
Oh, high definition.
With approximately double the pixels compared to Switch, you can enjoy games in greater detail on the 1080p screen.
Right, I want to say something. Now, if it's handheld, you're playing games at 1080p at 120 Hz. But if it's docked on a Nintendo Switch, you can get to play games on your TV at 4K at 60 frames. Even though the Switch itself is 120 Hz. But yeah, it gives the players the opportunity to play their own games however they like. You know, if you're playing it on a TV, it's 4K, but if it's outside of the TV, 1080p, 120 frames per second. As shown in the video. Yep, I told you.
The screen supports up to 120 frames per second, allowing for smoother gameplay in supported titles.
But that's good. That's a greater improvement compared to the original Switch.
The LCD screen is more vivid and supports HDR, providing more contrast between light and dark areas of the images.
Impressive.
The all-new Joy-Con 2 controllers connect magnetically. Strong magnets keep the controllers firmly attached to the system. Detach a controller easily by pressing the release button on the back.
Yeah, this is something that I was a little bit skeptical about. I'm just going to put it back here for a second.
The controller easily by pressing the release button on the back.
Yeah, so this slot there, that has my concern because if anything were to happen to a Joy-Con or the Switch, say like if water was to end up being in the sockets, would that not damage the Switch? Because you want a console, especially if it's handheld, and to be really, really good condition. It did have my concerns about that, but if it doesn't cause any damage, that's fine. Because I'm convinced that I'm getting the Switch 2. Bigger buttons.
The SL and SR buttons are bigger for greater comfort and control when playing with a Joy-Con 2 held horizontally.
This is better than the original Switch, in my opinion.
The left and right sticks are now larger.
For better comfort.
Each Joy-Con 2 controller can be used as a mouse, opening up even more ways to play in compatible games.
This is great. This is something new that I've never experienced before. Because in the original Switch, you have these Joy-Cons, but you can use it for like fighting or boxing. This, however, used as a mouse. This is new, and it intrigues me in a way. Because I've never experienced something like this before. Kind of like a PC mouse, for instance, like this one that I'm using for my PC. Like motion controls. So if the motion controls are going to be better, compared to the Wii, Wii U, or the Switch, if it's going to be better, then I'm over the moon.
Both the left and right Joy-Con 2 support mouse controls, so you can also play certain games using two mice, like this.
Nice, that's a 3-pointer right there.
By adjusting the audio balance between the ranges, sounds from the built-in speakers are clearer and more natural in handheld and tabletop modes.
Built-in mic.
It has a built-in microphone, so you can voice chat with friends anytime via game chat. It also uses noise-canceling technology to filter sounds, so your voice will come through clearly.
And that's great and all. The one issue is that a microphone to be that small, and even though if you're far away from the Switch 2 console, say like if I was near my desk and if the Switch 2 was over there, could they still hear me? Even though to cancel out all the background noises, which is good by the way. But how far do you need to be away from your Switch? What's the radius? What's the length? What's the measurements? That is my concern. Well, I say concern, but not in a bad way, but it's just, is the audio going to be good when you're chatting with people online on game chat? is it going to be good? It all depends on the audio. But if it's good, Nintendo's cooked it. 3D audio.
Even if you don't have a surround sound system, games can be enjoyed with more immersive, three-dimensional sound, as if it were coming from all around you.
Which is what the PS5 had. Sorry, I paused for a second because I was trying to think what I was saying. But yeah, they had that for The Last of Us and Silent Hill 2 Remake.
Place your Nintendo Switch 2 however you like with a large, sturdy stand. You can move it freely, like this.
Much better compared to the original Switch. So I'm just going to pause again. So, I'm just going to show you my Switch for a second. Give me a moment. Here's my original Switch. And as you can see right there, there's a little stand. But it can easily break. Because you can see, it's a little bit floppy. But if I stand it on, say like my desk, or, yeah, I'll stand it here. I mean, don't get me wrong. It does stand, but it can easily break because it's not very durable. It's a piece of plastic. As for the Switch 2, he mentioned about the little thumbsticks, or the analog sticks. They have better comfort. Now, I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping it's better comfort. But we'll just have to wait and see when I get the Switch 2. Because I get the feeling that it could be worth the purchase. Especially based on the quality and the performance and the specs themselves.
In addition to the USB-C port found on the bottom of the system, there's one on top as well.
That's good. Which means you can charge it with your charger.
For connecting a USB-C camera or charging in tabletop mode.
Yep. Much better. My original Nintendo Switch only had one C USB port. One. And it was only for underneath when you went to charge your Switch. But since they've added another USB-C port on the top of the Switch 2, this makes it much better. I had to get like a Nintendo Switch stand for that. It was okay for that, but it's not very durable. So I'm glad that they added that. I'm glad they did. Because it makes it easier for the Nintendo gamers to charge up their Nintendo Switch console from the top of their Switch. So well done to you.
Nintendo Switch 2 comes with 256 gigabytes of internal storage.
Wowzers!
8 times that of Nintendo Switch. For storing your game downloads, save data, and more.
Oh yes!
Reading and writing data is also faster.
New dock 4K support. There you go.
Use the Nintendo Switch 2 dock to connect to your TV and enable up to 4K resolution for compatible games.
Yes.
HDR is also supported in TV mode.
Yep, right there. I'm happy that they added the 4K resolution as an option, you know, if you're docking it on the TV, which is amazing. I'm glad they did. This is something I've always wanted to experience from Nintendo, since they were going to announce a new console. I'm really happy that they did that. For the original Switch, I could only play this up to 1080p and a normal frame rate at 60 frames. But this is impressive work that Nintendo has done. And they cooked it. The Switch game, well, Switch 2 I meant, sorry. For the Nintendo Switch 2, they've cooked it. The prices for games, however, yeah, as I said before, different story. Fan ventilation.
The Nintendo Switch 2 dock has a built-in fan that keeps your system cool. This helps keep performance stable.
And I'm happy that they did this. Because when you're showcasing a new console, say like if it was PlayStation, Xbox, or Switch, which is, well, Switch only had like, I don't think that the original Switch had a fan for that. I don't think. Actually, then again, maybe they did. I mean, every console should have a fan to help cool the system, because if it was overheated, your console would break or it would no longer work, which is something that a gamer does not want to experience, because if your console's no longer working, you can't get a refund. And the PS5 has a fan, and it does a really good job keeping the system cool. And the Switch 2, since they're adding a fan to the console at the back of the dock. That's awesome. That is seriously some good work.
On Nintendo Switch 2, you can play Nintendo Switch 2 games, as well as compatible Nintendo Switch games. Physical and digital games are supported.
So it can be backwards compatible. Available on June the 5th, yep, as shown on the video. So, my thoughts on the Switch 2. Stunning presentation. Backwards compatible, good. And again, my slight concern is, I already own the 2 Zelda games, and if I was to transfer my data to the Switch 2, are the prices going to be lower on the games that you already own for better quality and resolution or frame rate? I'm hoping they do that. So I've already purchased the 2 games. Not now, but I mean the 2 games back then. And considering that the Nintendo Switch 2 did a really good job showcasing the specs, giving us a proper insight of the system itself, I am convinced to get the Switch. And I've decided I'm not going to pre-order it, but I will get it on the day when it releases in the game store. That's basically it for this video. So again, Nintendo Switch consoles, good job. The games prices could be lowered. That's just my opinion, respectfully. In all seriousness, I am looking forward to the Switch 2, and I look forward to show an unboxing video when I get my hands on the Switch 2. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give this video a like. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content, as well as clicking on the bell to get notified on all my uploads. My social media links are provided in the description below, and you can also follow me on my second channel where I do non-Sonic related content. So, go ahead and check me out if you want to, no problemo. And as always, I shall see all of you in a brand new video. Take care.